What's the source of my passion for my books and my teaching? A lot of it had to do with, I started late in life. You know, my first college class, I was 28 years old. And I was inspired by a sign painter in Florida, painting signs, and he was talking about philosophy and things like that. And he was the first intellectual I ever met. And he really, he got me revved up in science, and so I wanted to get into science. So I ended up going back to school, got the GI Bill, and went to Lowell Tech in Massachusetts, information overload. There was more information than I could possibly, take in. So I knew that I wanted to be a teacher at that point. And really what I wanted to do is to instill with people that science is not just some course to go through. And I just wanted people to say, hey, here's a course that'll enable you to look at the world differently. You know, there's reasons for things. You know, why is the sky blue? What are the little mechanisms that make it that way? Why do we have tides? Things like that. Why is the satellites going around and around and gravity's pulling on them? They never crash. You know, they can crash, and what would happen for them to crash? But these are interesting things. I mean, physics is just such an interesting course. But I wanted to get the message that, hey, it's a way to look at the world. So at City College of San Francisco, I started in 1964, and I was assigned to teach the course that the other teachers didn't want to teach. And that's the course for non-science majors. Hey, that's what I want. These are the classes of people that I want to influence. These are going to be voters. These are going to be politicians. These are going to be doctors, lawyers. It's important that they have a view of looking at the world through this prism through which I saw the world. So I was sort of like a missionary for science. When I was teaching, my goal was not to make people who were like me. I was not trying to make physicists. I wanted to lift people rather than challenge them and defeat them and only teach to the best and the brightest. But I wanted to, get everyone interested in what I was interested in. I wanted to talk about things that people cared about. And what people cared about is the basic physics. And my theme for doing that was to let the equations of physics be the guides for thinking. The fact that what I do is I let the equations guide thinking was misread by other people to think that the book is non-mathematical. It's very mathematical, but not computational. And people were afraid about that. No computations, that's what physics is. Tilt, that should not be what physics is. It's much deeper than that. What is it you're computing? Huh? What is it you're calculating? What are those concepts? Don't hurry through and plug in numbers. In fact, you just take the numbers away and leave the concepts and you have a different course. That's called a conceptual course. That's where you really have a handle with what these things are. Not just plug and chug, plug and chug, plug and chug. The kids leave with nothing. But if they feel that, hey, I understand that, that makes sense. Physics is common sense with structure, and physical science is. And if the students feel that way, that's what we want to do. When they leave a course like this physical science course or this physics course, when they leave that course, what's left? And what's left ought to be a positive impression of what that's all about. And so what we're doing here is trying to make the physics, the chemistry, the earth science, the astronomy, delightful. And being delightful doesn't mean skirting away. Some people think that conceptual means, something other than physical science. That's not true. It's the concepts of physical science. But this is to lift people and to make them feel good about what they're learning. And I'll tell you why they feel good. They won't feel good because you skirted things and left things out or tried to make it interesting. Your students feel good if they have learned what they didn't think they could learn.